Hello everyone, it's Lucy here, and we're back with the next episode of this story. After Lei Zi was hit by the dark weapon of the mysterious attacker, he was injured and fell to the ground, holding his hand to stop the bleeding. Fan brother, seeing Lei Zi injured, was extremely worried, his hands and feet in disarray. He looked over to Lei Zi, who was gritting his teeth in pain, and immediately asked, "Lei Zi, are you okay?" Lei Zi, with a slightly pale face, looked at him and replied, "I'm fine, it's just a superficial wound, nothing to worry about." While Fan brother was helping Lei Zi stand up and walk to the medical shop to bandage the wound, on the roof of the house, a figure wrapped in a black cloak was observing. It was the same person who had attacked earlier. Feeling someone watching from above, Fan brother also looked up with a cold gaze, but by then, the mysterious attacker had already disappeared. Meanwhile, at the Jin residence in Tianwu City, the mysterious attacker had returned and knelt down to report the situation. "Homeowners, after my investigation earlier, I found that Yi Fan didn't detect my ambush at all. On the contrary, the leader of Tianwu City noticed something unusual. After that, he quickly caught the dark weapon that I secretly launched, but he was also injured and was taken by Yi Fan for treatment." Hearing these words from the mysterious attacker, the young master of the Jin family couldn't contain his excitement and exclaimed loudly, "Father, didn't I tell you? Yi Fan is just a mortal, he probably only used cultivation pills before, he's not as formidable as people think." Despite hearing this, the elder still couldn't rest assured and asked again, "According to your description, on air, will Yi Fan be protected by Tianyu Palace after this incident?" And Tianyu Palace is an existence that our Jin family cannot provoke. Jin Yang, however, remained unfazed and said, "No matter how close they are, they can't be closer than us and the Chung family. Besides, we were even engaged in the past." Seeing his son's frivolous attitude and still dwelling on such distant prospects, the elder corrected him, "Since Chu Wuyu became the master peak of Tianyu Palace, the Chung family is no longer the same Chung family as before. Young heir, we need to know our limits and not overstep them. What we need most now is to adjust our mindset for the better, to avoid causing trouble and interfering with entities we cannot contend with. That would be the best course of action." Hearing these words, Jin Yang immediately became discontented and asked, "So, should we just overlook him like that?" The elder didn't hesitate to respond, "It's just because your skills are not on par with others. Why bother comparing yourself to others?" As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Yang became so furious that his whole body trembled. His face darkened, his teeth clenched angrily, and he squeezed the fan handle with resentment. His anger overwhelmed him to the point where he couldn't control himself and threw the fan to the ground. Then he snorted coldly and stormed out of the room. Upon returning to his quarters, he vented his anger by slashing a fish and smashing a teacup to pieces on the ground. Jin Yang's rage filled the room as he shouted loudly, "It's just a yuan, what's there to be afraid of? What's the Jin family homeowners? Just a cowardly noble clinging to life." At that moment, someone entered the room and advised, "Jin Yang, you should fix your temper." He turned around and suddenly recognized his master, so he called out. An elderly man in white robes with a stern face looked at him and said, "Jin Yang, what's got you so angry? Can you tell your master about it?" Jin Yang then recounted everything without pause. After a while, the old man understood the situation. He stroked his chin thoughtfully and said, "It's related to Tianwu City again." Although he pondered for a moment, he agreed with his disciple, Jin Yan, the head of the homeowners, is getting older. In recent years, his work style has become more and more conservative. He no longer has the imposing demeanor he used to. At this point, Jin Yang also thought of Chu Wuyu and became furious. Does he feel the same way? Feeling encouraged, he continued, "Our Jin family has always been a prominent family on par with the Chung family in Hezhou. Just because Chu Wuyu clung to the high branch of Tianyu Palace, my father bowed down to them without a word. If I were the head of the Jin family, I wouldn't let our family walk this path." Hearing this, his master's face also lit up with excitement. The old man turned away and said, well done, having such determination makes you a good disciple. Come with me on a journey. After speaking, he immediately displayed a mystical technique, casting a strange purple light, summoning a large-winged demonic beast outside. He then instructed, "Let's go, disciple." Jin Yang, curious, asked, "Master, where are we going?" Without hesitation, the old man revealed, "To a place where we can obtain supreme power." Transitioning to the Sword Peak forest of Tianyu Palace, 1 month later, a golden paper crane flew to this place. Chu Wuyu, as usual, was practicing swordsmanship in her master peak. Suddenly, the paper crane landed on the tip of her sword, and holding it in her hand, Chu Wuyu remained oblivious to its significance. Upon opening it, she read the message attentively. Though the contents were unknown, Chu Wuyu sighed and then glanced towards the entrance of the master peak. On another side, a golden paper crane also arrived and landed on Yi Fan's hand. He didn't understand what this thing was and why it suddenly flew into his hand. Ling Er, from behind, recognized the paper crane and approached, saying, "Yi Gij, this is a spirit communication talisman that can transmit messages from very far away." He looked up while holding the paper crane, listening to her advice. After hearing her explanation, he realized the truth. "So this is like the world's telephone." Curious about the unfamiliar term, Ling Er asked, "What is a telephone, Yi Gij?" Suddenly, the paper crane stirred, prompting Fan brother to say, "Is it transmitting, Ling Er?" She nodded in agreement. Then, a voice came from within the paper crane, "Yi Fan, come quickly to save me." A familiar voice that startled and excited him. He recognized it as the voice of the Chung City Lord coming from the paper crane. After transmitting the message, the paper crane burst into ashes. Meanwhile, the old master of Jin Yang was plotting and scheming. He remarked, "So the guests for the performance have arrived in full." Perhaps these paper cranes were the very things he had fabricated to lure Chu Wu Shuang and Fan brother here. Jin Yang was also present but hidden behind the sunlight, making his face indiscernible. He turned around and said, "Jin family homeowners, let them taste pain," revealing his excitement and cunning demeanor, as if waiting for prey. Meanwhile, in a desolate place with thick spiritual energy in sharp rock formations resembling a large cave, Chu Wuyu was currently struggling in battle. Her aura was fierce as she wielded her sword forward. Sinister apparitions appeared everywhere, continuously attacking but being defeated by her. However, their numbers remained plentiful, and they laughed menacingly like mischievous children. Chu Wuyu whispered to herself, "It's been 7 days, and they still haven't stopped. It seems they can regenerate endlessly." Her face was now exhausted, and sweat dripped down from her brow. No matter how many she slaughtered, they kept charging forward, their horrifying screams echoing incessantly. Seeing the scene before her, Chu Wuyu snorted disdainfully, raising her sword to the sky to gather spiritual energy and unleash her technique, Hong Noyet, Golden Moon. A powerful vortex of spiritual force swept away the humanoid figures, tearing them apart into tiny pieces. Yet, another group immediately rushed in. Meanwhile, countless other figures waited on the outskirts, ready to join the fray. Exhausted from exerting too much spiritual energy, Chu Wuyu sustained injuries, her complexion paling significantly, reflecting on the invitation from Jin family a month prior. Chu Wuyu realized it was a scheme. She lowered her sword in frustration. On that day, while practicing swordsmanship, she unexpectedly received a message via paper crane from Jin family. Despite her aversion to banquets, Chu Wuyu couldn't refuse Jin family's invitation due to their ties with Chung family. Upon arrival, finding no one present, she wondered why there was no one there. She then approached and picked up a cup from the table. She discovered that the cup was made of paper. Suddenly, under Chu Wuyu's feet, a bizarre purple magic array appeared, and she realized it was a trap. In her panic, Chu Wuyu was suddenly transported to an unknown place, surrounded by a dark fog as black as ink, with no light in sight. Below the ground, a bony white arm emerged and grabbed Chu Wuyu's leg, terrifying her with its gruesome appearance, while above, countless humanoid figures crazily charged towards her. Meanwhile, not long ago in Tianwu City, the streets were bustling with people as usual. Chu Wuxuang brought a red box and said, "Senior Yi, I've brought what you need." Yi Fan expressed his gratitude to Chu Wuxuang for her effort. They opened the box and couldn't help but sweat profusely at what they saw inside, was a red bib that Yi Fan lifted. He rubbed his chin and remarked, "Chung City Lord has good taste. This is indeed a top-notch item." Witnessing this scene, Wuxuang turned into stone on the spot, kneeling down and saying. Yi Fan looked at Wuxuang and said, "Sister, Wuxuang, I'm sorry, sister." Wuxuang didn't mean to. Hearing this, Wuxuang wanted to cry and said, "Yi Senior, isn't there any other way to find sister? Why do we have to resort to this?" Of course, there were other ways, but Yi Fan had to carefully consider them. He knew that if he used divine sight to find Chung City Lord, the little demon could easily take his life with a single stab of the knife, making all their efforts in vain. In Yi Fan's thoughts, there was always the shadow of the Loli system ready to give him a hot item. Yi Fan placed the bib on the floor and said, "First, let's try this and see if we can find her this way." Then, he placed his hand on the cloak, emitting a probing spiritual power. As I explained to you, the closer the clothes are, the easier it is to track the location and information of Chung City Lord. "It's like this," he said, realizing the effectiveness of the bib. A purple tracking light flew from Tianwu City to a certain mountain. The tracking light penetrated through the layer of rock and soil, advancing deeper inside, revealing the scene of the humanoid figures. Upon witnessing this, Yi Fan panicked and exclaimed, "What is this?" Seeing Yi Fan's horrified expression, Wuxuang immediately asked, "Yi Senior, have you found my sister?" "Where is she now?" Despite Wuxuang's inquiries, Yi Fan remained in a daze for a while. Sensing his distress, she tried to snap him out of it. Yi Fan then approached the bookshelf and said, "Based on the location I sensed, she might be in the southwest direction, right here." Yi Fan took out a map and began to pinpoint Chu Wuyu's location. According to the map, the area was a high mountain range called Miasma Valley. Armed with this information, Chu Wuxuang drew her sword and said, "Yi Senior, let's head there." Yi Fan, excitedly agreeing, said, "All right." Chu Miss lead the way. His mouth spoke and his hands hugged her. This action made Chu Wuxuang shyly blush, but she didn't refuse and agreed to accompany him. After a while on the road, the two of them were still trekking towards the mountain range. After landing and walking for a while, Yi Fan felt a chill in the air. This place looked like something out of a horror movie. Was there really nothing wrong here? While they were talking, two figures with crimson eyes and sharp teeth appeared behind them, laughing like crying children in the echoing night. Wuxuang and Yi Fan were both shocked by the sight. Seeing this, Yi Fan quickly rushed forward to stop them. "Wuxuang, be careful, these are incredibly eerie," he warned, but before he could finish, the two figures were engulfed in a blue flame and turned into smoke. The person who appeared at this moment was Chu Wuyu. She had successfully escaped from that eerie cave, but she was still injured and unsteady on her feet. "Are you two all right?" she asked. Seeing Chu Wuyu, Wuxuang immediately called out to her sister in concern. Chu Wuyu asked, "Yi gentlemen, why have you two come here?" Yi Fan replied, "We received a distress message from you, so we came." Hearing this, Chu Wuyu was startled. "How is that possible? Even though it's dangerous this time, I didn't send any message to Yi gentlemen," she said. Upon hearing this response, Wuxuang and Yi brother were extremely shocked and exclaimed, "What? That's all for now, see you in the next episode." Hello everyone, I'm Lucy. Welcome to the next episode of this series. In Miasma Valley, amidst the starry night sky, lies a scene of fierce battle. A mannequin is decisively cleaved in half. The two sisters Chu Wuxuang continuously wield their swords to dispatch the humanoid figures. Meanwhile, Yi Fan is poking the severed figures with a stick. He analyzes them with a pensive expression. After Wuxuang and Wuyu finish off the first straw man, Wu Yu advances and says, if I'm not mistaken, these paper figures are likely the handiwork of the Kim family. Wu Yu then thrusts her sword into one of the figures and continues, these paper puppets exude a sinister aura. Upon hearing Wu Yu's words, Yi Fan considers that thoughts, he says, could it be that the Kim family is colluding with some dark sect, but which sect holds a grudge against us and Chu City Lord? At this point, Wu Yu startles as she realizes something and says, it could be. Fan brother also grasps Wu Yu's implication and exclaims, corpse-carrying sect. Wu Shuang, standing guard outside, hastily informs, sister, Yi Senior, the paper puppets are advancing again. When they discuss their situation, they hear Wu Shuang's warning and turn to see the relentless advance of the humanoid figures. That makes Wu Yu infuriated and curses, damn it, will they ever stop? Switching scenes, elsewhere, a crystal ball reflects the image of Yi Fan's group, their image of 3 people currently besieged by the eerie humanoid figures. The dark-clad guy chuckles with satisfaction at the sight before him. In this gloomy chamber not only have a person, on the left is elder of the corpse-carrying sect, and a group of elders from the Kim family on the right. The dark-clad guy sitting opposite is Jin Yang of the Kim family, this guy none other than the leader of the corpse-carrying sect. He says, the 3 of them have finally arrived. A sinister-looking woman with around a purple snake coiled speaks up, perhaps be ensnared by these creatures, it seems that is all Chu Wu Yu have. Seeing her disdain for the enemy, so the devil-masked figure reminds her, mind Gu, don't underestimate them, you might end up regretting it when the tables turn. Hearing his reminder, the woman shows some discomfort, though the dark-clad leader then adds, indeed, even though we hold the winning cards, it's better to proceed with caution. He then points towards Jin Yang and continues says, as this instance, our alliance with the Kim family, ensures that even the pretenders of the imperial court will find it hard to escape, so we can rest assured. Hearing the multi-level words of the leader of the corpse-carrying sect, Jin Yang's cold face carries a hint of satisfaction as he replies, it's also thanks to the guidance of the leader that we can cooperate. Once Tianyu Palace is destroyed, the treasures from the emperor's place will be ours. On the other side, the elders of the Kim family show a bit unsightly face, a woman push momentum, her gaze sharp. One of the elders of the corpse-carrying sect speaks up, but it seems this senior doesn't seem very keen on cooperation. Upon hearing this, the elder immediately rushes forward, shouting loudly, what nonsense are you talking about? I'll smack you right now. We are the elders of the Kim family, of course, we must serve the homeowners. Regardless of who they are. The other elders of the corpse-carrying sect scoffed coldly upon hearing the elder's words. Then, the masked figure immediately kneels down and produces a terrifying aura-coated centipede, saying, then swallow this, to prove your loyalty. His action prompts the elders of the Kim family to stand up and question, what are you trying to achieve by doing this, She turns to Jin Yang and says, homeowners of the corpse-carrying sect, this is stepping out of line, they are trying to assert dominance over our Kim family. However, the fact makes they are taken aback to see Jin Yang's different attitude. He fans himself casually, glances with a smirk, and says, I find Ren Elder's words quite reasonable. His words send shivers down their spines, with no other option, so the 3 of them reluctantly swallow the repulsive centipede. Mind Gu, seeing 3 of them comply, sneers mockingly, if there is a strange mind in other places, then the Gu worms in your body will not be vegetarian. Though infuriated, the 3 of them have no other choice. Only feeling helpless and complying with their arrangement, Master Su of Jin Yang gestures from behind, saying, all right, elders, if we don't settle this, the 2 homeowners will lose their patience. Then the leader of the corpse-carrying sect speaks up, instructing, Ren Yi, Mind Gu, along with the Kim family, Yu Hua elder, and Jin Ming elder, head to Miasma Valley. 2 of his subordinates rise respectfully, responding, yes, master. On the other side, after swallowing the centipede, the elders of the Kim family obediently respond, yes. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the hall becomes surreal, and the space begins to fluctuate. Switching scenes, in Miasma Valley, a crack appears. Opening a space, the boundary enclosing Miasma Valley breaks apart, clearly visible. Seeing this, Yi Fan panics and asks, "What's happening to the barrier?" Wu Yu warns, "Everyone, be careful. This is the tactic they used against us before." Down on the ground, purple-hued skeletons emerge, emitting a sinister aura as they crawl forth. Suddenly, a voice echoes, causing the three to look up. "Is that all the heavenly master of Tianyu Palace Chu Wushuang is?" Wu Sect Master indeed mistook the person, haha. Hearing the voice echoes from afar, provoking both of them to angrily shout in unison, "Who's there? Show yourself." Subsequently, the elder of the corpse-carrying sect, along with the two Kim family elders, appears. They stride forward with disdainful expressions. Mind Gu says, "It seems we don't need to intervene. These poisoned individuals might just bite you to death." She even makes a disgusted face, licking her lips as if she's seen something delicious, adding, "By then, you'll be nothing but toys and slaves to me, haha." That statement turns out to be her final defiance, as at that moment, her head had already been shattered. And it couldn't get any more broken. The one who decisively and coldly took action was Yi Fan, delivering a blow to her head because her mouth had talked too much. Then Fan brother immediately unleashed his formidable aura and interrogated, "If you have time to gossip and bicker like this, why not ponder how you'll meet your end soon?" Fan brother's eyes were filled with malice as he looked up, questioning once again, "Do you see if what I said is correct?" Seeing him dispatch one of them with a single blow, Chu Wuyu couldn't help but sweat profusely, silently admitting to herself, "He's even stronger than I imagined." Ren Yi, the elder of the corpse-carrying sect, struggled and shouted, "How could this be? Who are you?" He stood still, not daring to move or run because now Fan brother was still maintaining his first-time VIP recharge pose with an automatic headshot mode, so he didn't dare to make any sudden moves. At this point, Yi Fan instructed his two sisters to take care of those humanoid figures while he handled the rest. The two of them eagerly replied, "Okay, brother." Yi Fan then proceeded forward, picking up a branch and saying, "Let me deal with them. After all, there are only 3 maggots." He pointed the branch at them and said, "You guys jump in here." Hearing this highly provocative and insulting remark, the 3 of them couldn't contain their anger any longer. The old woman shouted, "You despicable brat, who are you insulting? You're asking for death." After saying that, 3 of them swiftly descended at an incredible speed, shouting wildly like madmen. Because they were provoked into a frenzy, they forgot about their comrade's death and how it happened. So, I confidently predict that this map will be cleared. Except for those 3. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel for video. If you enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your feedback. I sincerely appreciate your support. Now, let's dive into the content. At this moment, Ren Yi and the 2 Kim family elders are rushing towards Yi Fan at an incredibly fast speed. The 3 of them couldn't hide their furious expressions. Yi Fan looks up with a sharp gaze because, for him, he really dislikes those from the corpse-carrying sect. Firstly, Jin Yuhua, the elder of the Kim family, continuously attacks Yi Fan, but unfortunately, none of his strikes land. Yi Fan smirks in satisfaction, finding his provocation tactic highly effective. While he's still toying with Jin Yuhua, Ren Yi charges forward with a sword. Yi Fan sneers as he realizes these individuals are resorting to sneak attacks, but only with a simple twist of his body, Yi Fan deflects his sword. Ren Yi is horrified that his technique was so easily countered, and not only that, but his sword flies towards Jin Ming Elder, almost sending him on a trip off to sign out the earth. Yi Fan looks at the struggling figures with a smirk and says, "What's wrong? Weren't you all very arrogant just now?" Now, suddenly, no one has anything to say. Just at the beginning, the 3 of them are already wounded, making everyone feel this round isn't going smoothly, leaving them standing still and silent. Fan brother see no response, so he decides to provoke. Seems like those called strong is just that, are nothing more than that, no different from street thugs. The words just ended, Yi Fan successfully irritates Ren Yi, who shouts furiously, "You arrogant fool," and swings his sword. but before he can strike, Yi Fan rushes forward, saying, "Your attack is too slow." He then grabs Ren Ye's arm and lifts it, causing him to panic and looked at him warily, while Yi Fan prepares to teach him a lesson. Just before that, he kicks Ren Yi outwards, while him falls to the ground. Yi Fan prepares to deliver a decisive blow with his sword, shouting the word, slash, and suddenly the thunderous aura of the sword appeared. The powerful sword energy directly hits, causing a huge explosion. Before bidding farewell, Ren Yi is extremely surprised because the swordmanship was always incomprehensible. Yi Fan struck it out so easily. In the end, he doesn't even know who Yi Fan is. Why is there such a horrible existence in this damn place? A large explosion and billowing smoke obscure a section of the forest. Seeing this from behind, Chu Wuyu sweats nervously. She suspects that Yi Fan's strength is definitely not limited to what they see. His mastery and proficiency suggest a divine level of power. A long trench is formed by his sword energy. Jin Yuhua right now is bleeding profusely as she's caught in a part of Yi Fan's sword chi. At this time, she trembles in fear, sweat pouring down her forehead. She just couldn't dodge in time and slightly touched the sword chi and ended up in this situation. This power is no weaker than that of a deity. Looking at Jin Ming's body, she says, "I might consider myself lucky to survive." Unfortunately, Jin Ming was unlucky, dying right within the range covered by the sword chi. She realized she couldn't stay there any longer and decided to flee. But life isn't as dreamy as one wishes. As that thought emerged, the two swords of the Chu sisters were pressed against her neck. "Try running to see if my sword is faster or if you can run faster." Then Wu Yu loudly exclaimed, "Jin Yuhua, I ask you, where is Wu Jie? If you answer my question, I will spare your life. If not, this day every year will be your Memorial Day." She panicked, her face turning pale, fear evident on her features. With no other choice but to say it, she was about to speak up, but before she could utter a word, she was bitten by a venomous insect on her neck. The poison spread throughout her body. Moments later, she was swiftly digested, dying on the spot. Witnessing this scene, Wu Yu couldn't help but feel horrified by the ruthless tactics of the corpse-carrying sect. Transition scene to the stronghold of the corpse-carrying sect. The sect master smirked, rubbing his chin in amusement gleefully. "This guy Yi Fan is indeed quite a troublesome character. Even with my current cultivation, I can't easily defeat two Yuaning stage cultivators like that." Then he said to Jin Yang, "Homeowner Kim family, you really have provoked a very powerful figure." Hearing this, Jin Yang panicked and justified himself, "Master Wu, at that time this person concealed his true strength. He's much stronger than I anticipated." As for the master, didn't care much about his excuses and said, "In that case, Kim family head, you must quickly break through to the divinity stage. Collect more spiritual energy and lives. Ultimately, trample Yi Fan underfoot. You must remember that every sacrifice is worth it." After saying this, he left, and his two subordinates respectfully escorted him away. Jin Yang's face darkened, unable to say anything more. While he was still unsure of what to do, another elder slammed the table in anger, saying, "Our Kim family branch has been sacrificed completely, along with the old homeowners. If you continue to follow that Wu Jie, our Kim family will have no one left." The old man stood there and offered all his advice, but he remained silent. A moment later, he raised his cold demeanor and said, "So what if I ascend to the divine and saintly realm? Do you think Kim family can still resist? Kim man elder, you quickly prepare for the blood sacrifice, otherwise even you will offer the blood sacrifice." These words filled the elder with fear, as he hadn't imagined this person could be so insane. Reluctantly, he complied. Meanwhile, Yi Fan's group was flying back on their swords through the lush mountains. Yi Fan took this opportunity to check the system and indeed found that his lifespan had decreased. Looking at the information panel, he remembered the Loli system, which he likened to a little demon girl. He thought to himself, "In times like this, isn't she supposed to come out and mock me? Without her, it's true that it's a bit unsuitable." Suddenly, he felt something was wrong and his face twisted in discomfort. No way, why am I having these thoughts? Am I someone who enjoys being mistreated? No, that's not it, it can't be. Seeing Yi Fan's sudden change in expression, Wu Shuang asked, Senior Yi, what's wrong? He startled and hastily retorted, it's nothing. Watching from behind, Wu Yu thought, though Senior Ye's strength is profound and unpredictable, he's not the arrogant type that people dislike. If Wu Shuang and Senior Yi could become a couple, that would be great. Lost in thought, Yi Fan turned back and said to her, Chu City Lord, thank you for your assistance back there. Suddenly hearing him turn back to express gratitude made her blush. Wu Yu also clasped her hands and said, I'm also grateful to Senior Yi for his help on many occasions. After speaking, she reminded herself, as a swordsman, should have been free from desires and pursuits, devoted solely to the swordsmanship. Moreover, if Wu Shuang has feelings for Senior Yi, I should be happy for her. But why does seeing them laugh and talk make my heart ache like this? She placed her hand over her heart, pondering why her emotions were in turmoil. The two streams of brilliance from Fan Brothers' group swiftly flew across the starry sky, and beside it seemed like a bloody moon up to the sky. This is the end of the story, see you in the next episode.